Welcome to the road to 1 million US dollars. Let's get right into the Bitcoin chart for today, starting on this 1 hour time frame for Bitcoin, because right now we are pumping massively to the upside here. And first, I want to quickly recap what happened since yesterday's video. So when I was recording my video yesterday, we were trading around this area here, and the base case expectation was simply that so long as we are below this descending trend line, we should be expecting more downside for Bitcoin. But once we break this descending line of resistance, we could be looking for a filling of the CME gap. Now, in the end, we ended up reaching about 91,000 US dollars in the Bitcoin price. So we saw a pretty severe crash to the downside yesterday. However, since then, we have actually confirmed a bullish divergence on the 1 hour time frame, which is when you have lower lows in the Bitcoin price and higher lows in the RSI momentum indicator, which typically points towards a break from all of this bearish price action that we saw here recently, either in the form of some choppy sideways price action or potentially some bullish momentum in the short term. Now, yesterday we actually saw a bullish divergence as well, which got invalidated. However, since then, we have, of course, confirmed a new one and saw that bullish momentum. Now, as I'm recording this video, we have actually just filled the CME gap. We're trading right next to it, but basically, even if we were to exactly reverse right now, I would still consider the CME gap to be filled here. So with this in mind, what are some things we should take into consideration here? Well, one of the things is that we should take a look at some of these retracement levels here, because this is going to be critical over the next couple days. Right now, you may notice how we are breaking through this Fibonacci golden pocket sitting between 100.3K and 100.7K in the Bitcoin price. And ideally, we would see candle closes above this 100.3K level. In this case, I'm talking about the 4 hour time frame, by the way. But either way, in that case, we are starting to flip this area of resistance into a level of support, which is, of course, a bullish thing here in the short term. Now, if this pump continues to the upside right now, we could expect to see some resistance around this 102.7K area, because this is the 0.786 Fibonacci level. And besides that, we should also take note of the fact that on the 1 hour time frame, we are about to head into this overbought territory on the 1 hour time frame once again, which is when the RSI is above 70. So typically, once you get into deep overbought territory, there is limited room to the upside in the immediate short term, because again, we're talking about the 1 hour time frame. And usually what you would see is that the RSI will start to reset down a little bit, either in the form of Bitcoin just trading sideways, or perhaps getting a bit of bearish momentum in the short term. So of course we are in an uptrend in the short term, and it is actually a pretty violent one, but at the same time, take note of the risk factors that are there, like potentially some areas of resistance, that RSI being close to overbought territory, and those are just some things to take note of here. Besides that, we should also take a look at the support and resistance levels for Bitcoin. Right now, we're trading inside an area of resistance sitting from 101.5K up to 102.5K. So again, especially if we close inside this on the 1 day time frame, be open to the possibility that we are actually getting another move to the upside because of what I am about to say, which is probably not going to get received well, but my base case is still the same here, guys. You know, it was the same when we were trading in this red box between 105 and 107K, which is, well, so long as we're not getting these daily candle closes above 100.7K, I am not looking for much more bullish price action for Bitcoin. Now, of course, once we start getting those candle closes above, then I will start looking towards these targets to the upside. And until then, I simply think we are not fully out of the woods yet on the 1 day time frame. Now, yes, of course, on the lower time frames, we can see all kinds of stuff starting to happen. You know, you can basically just take a couple trend lines here and say like, well, so long as we're holding above this ascending trend line, we're simply trending up over time, right? So yes, that is absolutely true. And that is why it is important to understand the difference between the different time frames. Next, moving on to the Bitcoin liquidation heat map. First of all, on this 3 day time frame, notice how right now we have a big pocket of liquidity to the upside sitting at 102.8K, which is potentially ready to get swept in order to take out all of these short positions. Now, if we actually zoom out to the 2 week time frame, there is again a bunch of liquidity to the upside sitting as high as 107.5K in the Bitcoin price. And of course, besides that, there's also some liquidity around that 103K level that I mentioned here previously. But perhaps most importantly, we should take a look at the 3-month time frame for Bitcoin. We just took out a massive amount of liquidity to the downside in this move here yesterday. And of course, that is exactly what I was saying in this video yesterday as well, which is that, well, there simply isn't that much liquidity to the downside until we start getting below this 90,000 US dollar level. So this liquidity remains to be here for now. And right now there is a bunch of liquidity to the upside still. So to kind of summarize these different time frames, lower time frames, there's simply most of the liquidity being to the upside because we just took out of the short-term liquidity to the downside. However, on this 3-month time frame, the picture is a little bit less clear. Yes, we swept a bunch of liquidity to the downside here, but a bunch of liquidity actually remains below 90,000, even as low as 86K, while we also have a bunch of liquidity to the upside. So therefore, personally, I would not be using these Bitcoin liquidation heat maps on the higher time frame right now because it simply isn't giving a clear picture. And therefore, personally, I'm mostly going to focus on these lower time frames until there is more clarity on the 1-day time frame, for example. And again, one way of getting that clarity is by getting a daily candle close above 107K. So this has been today's market update. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel with notifications on so you don't miss any of these important update videos. But regardless, if you do end up subscribing or not, thank you for watching once again, and I will see you tomorrow in the next one.